Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another story time today. I'm super excited that I can have story time outside. We're supposed to hit a high of 75 today in the Driftless region, which is pretty crazy for the first week of November. Hopefully, you are all getting outside to enjoy some of this, what I'm sure will be the last of our 70s weather before winter. Our story today is going to be about a specific part of a plant. Any guesses? I'll give you a hint. You can't usually see this part of the plant. It's underground. If you said roots, you're exactly right. Nice job. I've been thinking a lot about roots lately because, first of all, I've been getting some roots in my CSA share, or the vegetables that I get from a local farmer every week. What kind of roots do you think I mean? We'll read about them in our story today. The second reason I've been thinking a lot about roots is my mom is actually here visiting, and she's been helping me get my garden ready for winter. So I've been thinking a lot about the different plants that I have in my garden. And I have two kinds of plants in my yard. Some of the plants are called annual plants, and that means that they live just for 1 year. So those plants typically spend a lot of time and energy making their flowers and their seeds, and those plants will die over the winter and new plants will grow from their seeds next spring. The other type of plants I have in my garden are called perennial plants, and perennial plants do something a little different. The parts of the plants that we can see that are above ground do die over the winter, but their roots stay alive and the plants can regrow from those roots or parts of those roots next spring. So I've been thinking a lot about my perennial plants and what they're going to look like next spring and how excited I'll be to see them above the ground again. So we're going to read a story about roots today, and then I have some extra kind of fun things to share with you about how important these roots are. So our story is called What Do Roots Do? And it was written by Kathleen Kudlinski, illustrated by David Schuppert. So let's find out, what do they do? The sun might be doing some funny things here, but we'll see. What do roots do for their plants up above? They hold them up straight when the wind gives a shove. They hold them upright when the ground's on a slant. They hold them in place if you play on a plant. Do any of you ever play on a plant or have a swing in your yard from a tree? So roots anchor our plants to the ground. How else do they use this underground link? Plants are all thirsty. They use roots to drink. The roots branch out small, then tinier still. Then teeny root hairs drink the thirsty plant's fill. Roots suck water in, and they send it up high, through tubes far too tiny to see with your eye. So they absorb water from the ground, and the plants use that to drink and make food. Water flows up through rootlets, then tap roots. It's not often we get to see what's going on underground. And trunk, then branches, and twigs until each leaf's drunk all the water it needs. And then, way up there, the rest blows away on a breeze in the air. Palm, pine, or maple, it always is true. Half of the tree will be hidden from you. So trees have roots that go way deep under the ground, way, way deeper than we might realize. So there's a lot of parts of a plant that we can't even see. Shadowed by treetops, green ferns and moss grow. So do their roots in the darkness below. In sunny yards full of grass, weeds, and clover, you could see all the roots if you turned the dirt over. But you wouldn't do that. It wouldn't be wise. When you break off its roots, a plant often dies. So those roots are really important for a plant, so we got to be careful with them. Your garden is brightest and makes the most flowers when the roots have been watered by hose or by showers. Food grows in the garden in vegetable row. Some ripen in sunshine, but some hides below. Carrot and radish, potato and beet. The underground root is the part that we eat. So these are some of the root veggies I've been getting in my CSA and that I've been buying at our co-op. Maybe some of you even have what we call a root cellar at home. It's kind of a cool, dark place, and you can store your potatoes and your carrots, your radishes down there, and they'll last for a pretty long time, as long as it's cool, dry, dark. The roots of a cactus spread far to the sides or reach deep in soil for water that hides. Sometimes it's hard for roots to get water. And even in pond, water lilies have found the best way to grow is with roots in the ground. So under each tree is a tree made of roots, and under each rose and beneath bamboo shoots. Whenever you look at a plant short or tall, remember you don't see the whole thing at all. That was our story about roots. It talks a little bit about some of the benefits of the roots for the plant. It mentioned that it anchors the plant into the ground, so even if we're playing on it or the plant is on a slant, it's firmly in the ground. And that has another benefit too. When the plant is anchored into the ground, it's really holding on to that soil, and that prevents our soil from eroding away or erosion problems. So that means the soil might get washed or blown away by the wind, but having roots in the ground stops that from happening. And that's really important, right? Because we need soil to grow plants, and we need to grow plants to get food. So soil erosion prevention is a really important job that our roots do for us. Another thing that our book didn't really talk about much is it talks about the roots taking up water for the plant to drink, but the roots also take up a lot of nutrients for the plant. So good, healthy things for the plant that are in the soil and that the plant needs to make food, it's going to suck up through the roots. So that's really important too. Our garden crew at work would not be happy if I didn't mention another really cool thing that plant roots do, and that is that they secrete or put out a substance called plant exudate, and our garden guy Jim calls it plant snot. So it's kind of like a slimy substance that the roots make, and it is super duper important for our soil. It feeds our microbes that are in the soil, teeny tiny organisms that you can't see with your eye. You would never know they were there unless you looked at it with a microscope. And those microbes, that microbe community in our soil, is also really, really important because they form a kind of relationship with the plants. So the microbes help the plants grow, and they help our nutrients cycle through the soil and our carbon cycle through the soil. And in return, the plants exude this plant snot that feeds that microbe community. So it's a really important relationship, and it's very critical that we have that if we're going to have healthy soil to grow our plants and our food crops in. The other thing soil or roots do for the soil is even after the plant has died, right? Those roots are still down in the soil. So they're still anchoring the soil, and eventually as the roots kind of disappear, as they disintegrate or they decompose into the soil, they're still leaving the holes that they made as they grew down into the soil. And that's really important for water to get down into our soil. So for water, we call that filtration or infiltration, to get down in there. And then our soil can hold water too, because now we're letting more water into the soil. And that's important because we know that plants need water in the soil to grow. So roots do so many cool things for our plants. They're a super important part. And I've been thinking about them a lot lately, so I wanted to share that story with you. This week, it is so nice out. I'll put a few resources down below, things you can try. But real quick, some of the ideas you could go on a root walk. So sometimes the roots might be above the ground, or there might be, my favorite is when a tree has been blown over by the wind and it exposes all of the roots and it makes kind of like this little cave area. That's super cool. See if you can find some of those and take a good look at the roots. I bet there are some signs that things have been living there or using those roots that have been exposed. Sometimes I even find bird nests in there, which is pretty cool. The other thing you can do is try a mud painting. So you could draw or print a coloring page that has underground on it. So maybe a tree with roots down below, maybe it's a carrot with a top above and the carrot down below. You can color in your picture and then go outside, get some dirt, mix it with water and make a little bowl of mud, and then smear it all over the roots on your painting. I love painting with mud. I think it's super fun. The last thing you could try is go to your grocery store and see if you can find some roots in your grocery store that you would want to eat and try eating them. Maybe you eat carrots all the time, so maybe try a different root. See what you can find that grows underground and give it a try. Otherwise, it is going to be so nice out for the rest of this week, so I hope you're getting outside. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another story time. I bet the weather is going to be looking a little different then, but we can't wait to see you then. See you later.